Right, I'm now here with Ross Byrne, who's one of Team Procoach, a leading coaching company in the UK. I've been lucky to catch. You actually coached one of my friends, I believe, Victor.
Big Vic is the man. So Vic done the majority of the prep himself, and I won't take that away from him. He done incredibly well to get to that point, but I think he just, like many athletes, and I think one of the main things that I think people need to understand when it comes to coaching is your own ability to look at yourself disintegrates towards the kind of end of a show. So if you're really, really good at being objective with the way that your physique looks, you'll be fine. But the vast majority of bodybuilders are either so tired, so fatigued, or taking enough supplements that it can change their perception of what's going on and in one direction or the other. You might think you're better than you are, you might think you're worse than you are. So I think Victor just kind of got me on board to give him a hand with that, and I took a little bit more control over the course of a couple of weeks, and some pretty big wins, class wins, a regional overall later, and he had a really, really successful season. So it's been cool, man.
And is it mainly the men's physique athletes that you take care of?
No, man. Honestly, I would have spent the first. So I would call myself a rookie coach in the UK, I suppose.
Right.
I'm originally from Dublin, as it's not painfully obvious already. And I spent a lot of time working out that kind of circuit over there to a certain extent. It's a way smaller circuit. When I first got here, I was actually mainly coaching bikini athletes. I love coaching bikini. Bikini is actually up there with my favourite classes to coach. Reason being is that I think it's so different to any other class that you need to think about it differently. It's almost like a little break from the be big, be full, be lean, bikini is a little bit more refined. I coach a lot of men's physique athletes, a handful of really good amateurs about to go pro, a handful of pros that can go to the Olympia. I coach a lot of classic physique guys. Yemi is probably the most notable classic physique athlete who I have. He's looking to go to the Olympia this year. And then on the men's physique side, I have Dan Ibrahim, who's in Houston and Texas, and he's making a big stamp in the industry right now. He's got the Tri-City Classic in 3 weeks, which will be his Olympia qualification show, and my first Olympia as a coach as well, which is cool.
That's fantastic for your progress as a coach. Actually, something I think would be a good question as you coach in a variety of disciplines. Do you think that it's mainly the athlete's genetics and structure that should choose or direct which one they go for, or how they like doing things, what they like,
I would say,
and how they like to operate and what they want to grow into?
That's the ultimate question, isn't it, really? It's should you do the class you want or the class you're built for? I think if the class that you should do is as obvious and as clear as it is that you have enough people who you trust telling you to do that class, you should probably listen to them. A men's physique athlete when you see it. You know a good bikini athlete when you see it. You know a good bodybuilder when you see them. You're not going to look at somebody like Leon over there and go, you know what, you should change classes to men's physique. It's just not going to happen because he's not made up for that. So I would say that if you're somebody who has actual potential, you need to listen to those around you and what they encourage you to do, and then allow yourself to progress from there. If you're somebody who's on the higher end of an amateur scale and you're good but you're still not 100% sure where you land, experiment with those amateur shows. Don't be afraid to go into a regional and do classic and men's physique and just see where you place. Get in shape, see where you place, and go from there.
So this is what I was thinking, because I was doing classic physique, but I'm not super thin at the hips and waist, and I now won't get back into the weight limit. How good my off season's gone. So I was going to think of PCA tall bodybuilding.
Yeah, 100%, man. Just go in and find where you suit, and then beyond finding where you suit, find where you enjoy. Because on every tier of capacity as an athlete, enjoyment is still going to be probably the biggest predetermining factor of success. You look at any athlete who's ever fell off from an amateur level the whole way to a pro level, and you ask them why they fell off, one of the first things that ever comes out of their mouth is, I just stopped enjoying it.
That's a really important point.
So if you maintain attentiveness to enjoyment above all, that's fair. But if you're someone who's I really want to do bikini, for example, if you're a female, but you've got these fucking crazy quads and glutes, you should probably go to wellness, because you have to ask yourself, do you want to be a bikini athlete or do you want to be an athlete? That's the ultimate question, because I think a lot of people come into the sport based off perceptions and people who they were inspired by, and that's what kind of dictates their class for them. These people are inspirations, they're not molds. You don't follow their footsteps, you use what they've done to inspire your own. And I think that the more people that can look at themselves as an N=1 kind of situation as an athlete, I think inevitably you're going to find yourself making the right choices. So trust your physique, trust those around you, trust authority, but never forget what you actually enjoy doing, and allow yourself to kind of make the call that way.
I think that's really sound advice. So I won't take too much more of your time. Just one more question I think would be useful to my viewers is those that don't feel that they're committed enough quite yet for coaching on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
What resources would you recommend for them to sort of go DIY, do their own studies, get to grips with what they need to know?
This is a good question. So anyone who might watch this, who might already know who I am, would have known that I spent a lot of time in like the education space for a really long time. I still do.
Yeah.
I still do a lot of in-person education, but it was the centre of my world for a long time. And then obviously when I kind of more enveloped into the bodybuilding and coaching side of things, I realised I was quite good at it. Not to toot a horn or anything like that, I've still got a lot to prove, but I was doing enough that I wanted to just focus on that. And I think if you're in a situation where your financial capacity isn't there to afford coaching, I think what you need to do is, look, I'm going to go against the grain here and say that the vast majority of individuals who are at a level where they're far enough away from where they know they're going to be competitive should all really be doing the same thing, which is going into the gym, picking things that are safe, picking things that are easy, and then performing them over and over again and getting significantly stronger at them over time. And if you can structure a training program and you can structure your nutrition and just not be a prick, that's pretty much at a bare minimum all you need to do. Most of the job that I do as a coach is making people not be a dickhead. You know?
Yeah, well, I find with this sort of thing, most of the conversation centres around how the diet's going and tweaking that, actually.
Like
So.
if you can't choose what goes in your mouth, a coach isn't going to fix that problem for you. You know, you use a coach to fill the gaps by which you don't have, which is usually knowledge, experience, and results. Because you're an athlete, you don't have knowledge, experience, or results. So you need to go to somebody to fill those gaps. Like your whole career progression is made up of different elements: results, experiences, coaching quality, education, and it doesn't necessarily all need to come from you. You need to find the source of the things that you need. Like, look at some of the best bodybuilders on earth. All they do is hire somebody, pay them good money, they tell them what to do, and they do it. That's what they want, you know?
Yeah, I think it only really works to have a division of who's, you know, running the show, where there's very sort of different tasks that don't affect each other, where, you know, the protocol and the diet, I think, should all be managed by the same person, but maybe a separate posing coach in some cases.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like,
work.
just find the things that you need to advance and kind of go from there, you know? And if you're not in a situation to afford a coach, don't stress about affording one. Focus on good quality food. Get enough food in, get enough training in, get a good gym membership, go somewhere where your environment is productive. Like, don't buy a coach and then for the sake of buying a coach you're going to join a pure gym.
Yeah.
You know, like, unless you can thrive in that environment, which most people can't. You know, okay, where does this money need to go? You know, am I only bodybuilding a year or two? If you're only bodybuilding a year or two, you don't need to work with someone like me. You know, you don't. You know, I've had many moments where I've had people on calls who are like, oh, I'm just starting, I just want to learn how to bodybuild. I'm like, you're going to pay me X amount of money. That's oftentimes above market for a service that I know somebody on like my network will be able to give you for a way better rate and just as good as I will.
Yeah.
You know, so don't worry about trying to go to the best coach. Try to go to the most suitable one.
The one that can give you the right attention and fill the gaps that you have.
The right attention that's suited to your demand, that's suited to where you're at in your career, that's suited to where you're at in your perception of what bodybuilding is. You know, don't let somebody change your perception of things, let them advance your perception of things. And don't be afraid to spend time actually speaking to people, speak to their athletes, speak to their clients, and, you know, just have a more refined approach to the coach that you choose, rather than just thinking about the financial aspect of what you spend on. Because I think the more that you'll realise that, you know, especially at a higher level of coaching where it becomes a very personal experience between you and your athletes, the ability for you to connect with the individual who you're paying is probably just as important as what they've done. You know? Yeah,
I think so. I think I may have got this wrong, but was it yourself that basically made all your own gym equipment when the world went crazy?
Yes, I did.
So there's always a way to do these things.
I made a load of gym equipment, and then I bought a shipping container, like off the back of a truck. And then I built a gym in that. I bought a hack squat. I went and from my local gym, I went and took some plates and some bars and built a little bit of stuff in a container there, and just made use of what I had. And that was actually a big part of, I think, why a lot of people started looking at what I was doing.
Yeah, well, people find it really interesting. I know that some of my audience watching this are actually just training at home or doing just workouts with dumbbells and stuff like that. So I thought it'd be a good question to ask about, you know, assembling your own stuff and
keep it simple. Keep it simple, man. Keep it simple. Like, get enough that you need, you know. Like I would try to get to a point where you're not having to do like fucking 77-second eccentrics with a 2-kilo dumbbell. You know, nobody wants to get to that point anymore. You know, get yourself a good set of those adjustable dumbbells.
Like the Bowflex ones.
Yeah, the ones that can kind of pull out and adjust and they don't take up too much space. You know, get yourself a decent barbell if you can, and if you have the affordability, a leg extension and a leg curl. That's all you'll ever really need. If you can really afford a leg extension and a leg curl, I feel like they're the kind of main things that are going to be really, really, you know, apparent in terms of physique development.
Everything else will be dumbbells, barbells, pretty much. Power cage, perhaps.
Yeah, and even then, like, you know, do you need a dumbbell or a leg curl and a leg extension? Probably not. But they're just effective, and as somebody who like really only really coaches people working out of gyms, I can only have so much interest in that beyond what I already did. You know, like I tried desperately to buy a leg extension and a leg curl. I ended up building one out of, if anyone knows my Instagram, if you scroll down far enough, you'll see this fucking 50 Shades of Grey looking contraption that ends up working like a leg extension, a really good leg extension, quite frankly. So
is that 50 Shades of Grey or 50 Shakes of Way?
Yeah, 50 Shakes of Way. That was good.
All right, mate. Thanks for that. That was awesome.
Anytime, man. Anything you need. Best of luck with everything, bro.
Brilliant. Cheers.